that stopped at 5:38 p.m., right?
Correct.
Now, you don't know, when I say you, I mean as a witness, but also the police, whoever was wearing the watch, for example, if Lindsay's wearing the watch or carrying the phone after 5:38, you don't know what was happening at 5:39.
Correct.
You don't know what was happening at 5:40, 5:45, right?
Correct.
Right up till 5:58, 6 o'clock p.m., right?
Yeah, purely the data on the device.
So it could have been, the phone could have been put down, the watch could have been put down, battery died, whatever those issues could be, and the person would still be going down the stairs, going up the stairs, going in the backyard, doing push-ups, whatever.
Correct.
You just don't know, right?
Yes.
Okay. One of the things, you're familiar with the concept of location data, right?
Correct.
And location data, one of the things you looked at or you're aware of would be from Lindsay's phone on August 23rd of 2022. Is that correct?
Apologies. August 23rd, 2022?
Yeah.
I didn't go back
Okay.
anywhere near that date.
You have tested and written blogs, though, on location information, right?
Correct.
You actually testified in the case of Commonwealth versus Victor Arrington in Suffolk Superior Court in Boston in support of the accuracy of this particular artifact or information, right?
Correct.
So you're a true believer that the phone does in fact record accurately significant locations on the iPhone, right?
It certainly can, yes.
All right. And are you aware, or if I was to approach you in your expertise, it's just a doctor's. That's all. You were talking earlier about latitude, longitude, things of that nature, right?
Yes.
Okay. So just to, you're familiar with, for example, significant location visits on Lindsay's phone, August 23rd, 2022 at 9:34. Do you know what that says or what that means?
The created time?
Yeah.
Of 9:34. That'd be when the device decided that the device had visited this location enough to consider it a visit.
Okay. Do you know what that location is? If I suggest to you it's a doctor's office, would you be aware of that?
I don't recognize it from the coordinates.
Okay. Thank you. This here you're familiar with too as well, right? The geo data with the latitude and the longitude?
Yes.
And you're familiar with the fact that you can take the metadata off of the information on the cell phone, one of which would be latitude and longitude. You'd be able to determine, for example, that this would be the Lindsay Clancy home, correct?
Yes, correct.
You've seen this before, right?
It rings a bell, yes.
Okay. I'd offer this, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No objection.
Okay, that may be admitted.
Thank you.
Exhibit 267.
All right, thank you.
Now, you have your report in front of you, right?
Yes.
And that's captioned Digital Forensic Report, and it's in evidence, so the jurors are going to be able to review it in its entirety, right?
Yes.
If I could direct your attention to page 11, I believe. Yeah, page 11. Okay?
Yes.
And just so the jurors are able to acclimate themselves to it, that would be this item here that you went through with the district attorney, right? As far as the...
Right back to the trial. So I want to do first, ask you those questions since we had a long break, and then talk a little bit about the schedule and kind of today's schedule and kind of where we go from here. So first question, as you know, has any member of the jury read, seen, heard, or overheard anything from any source about any aspect of this case that would affect your ability to be a fair and impartial juror? All right. Next question, is there any other serious matter or concern bearing on your service as a juror in this case that anybody needs to bring to my attention at this time? Again, thank you so much for following those instructions. Today's schedule is that it may be kind of a little bit stop and start. Okay, so kind of bear with us on that. Might be a couple times you got to take a break just after a short amount of time, and then we'll bring you back in. It's just the nature of cases at this point. It's anticipated that the Commonwealth will close their portion of the evidence today. All right. Then at that point, the defendant has the opportunity, if they want to present witnesses and evidence if they want to. But remember, they don't have to. The burden of proof is always on the Commonwealth. All right. If the defendant offers evidence, then the Commonwealth is then given the opportunity to offer rebuttal evidence. All right. And so that's kind of the next phase that we're about to go into after the Commonwealth rests. And I'll go into a little bit more kind of how that goes, but I just kind of wanted you to kind of see where we are and where everything's going to fit procedurally as we go forward from here. So with that, we're going to return to the Commonwealth's case. And Attorney Sprague?
Thank you, Your Honor. Commonwealth calls Ian Whiffen.
Good morning. You solemnly swear that the testimony in the evidence you shall give to the court and the jury between the Commonwealth and the Commonwealth.
I would rather affirm I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
All right. Attorney Sprague, please.
Thank you. Good morning. Can you please state and spell your name for the record?
Yes, it's Ian Whiffen. IANWHIFFIN.
Where do you work?
Cellbrite.
What is Celebrate?
Cellbrite is a digital intelligence company working in the digital forensics field.
And how long have you worked there?
Since 2020.
What is your role at Celebrate?
I'm currently a customer engagement manager.
What does that mean?
I work with customers, helping users of our tools to understand the digital evidence that they're finding and presenting.
And what does digital evidence consist of?
Any information which is extracted from a cell phone, primarily or from a computer, which can be interpreted by the examiner and presented as evidence. It could be call history, messages, location data, media, anything that you can find from a digital device.
Could you just briefly describe your educational and training background that qualifies you to do this work?
Yeah, I've worked in IT for many years. In 2013, I began my career within Calgary Police Service in Canada as a digital forensics examiner. That was after spending approximately 9 or 10 years working as a patrol officer in the UK and in Canada. As part of my role as a digital forensics examiner within the Calgary Police, I went on numerous training courses. The Canadian Police College, they did an introductory course into digital forensics, and then further courses focusing on mobile data provided by some vendors, such as Blacklight or Cellbrite at the time, as well as further courses presented by the Canadian Police College, specifically about cell phones.
And Celebrate, the software produced by Celebrate, is that software used to extract and analyze data from cell phones and computers?
Yes, there are several tools within our catalog. One of them is designed to extract as much data as possible from a cell phone. And then one of the other tools is designed to take that extracted data, decode it, decrypt it, make sense of it, and provide it to the user in a way which can be searched, filtered, organized, reported, and presented.
Does Celebrite's ability to access cell phone data continually change based on improvements that are done to the phones themselves?
Yes, there's constantly changes being made to devices which make it difficult to extract the data. There are changes being made to the software that means that the data that we extract is now different to the data that we extracted previously. A new feature, for example, or a change that's made by the software developer. So we're constantly changing our software to be able to extract that data and to decode more data.
Were you asked to locate Apple Health data and other information that could be relevant to the investigation of an incident that occurred at 47 Summer Street in Duxbury on January 24th, 2023?
I was, yes.
And what is Apple Health data?
Apple Health is a component of the iOS operating system which logs sensor data from multiple locations. So there's sensors built within an iPhone that monitor steps taken, flights climbed, for example, as well as third-party devices, Apple Watches, Fitbits, any other device like that. All the information is brought into the Apple Health application, aggregated, and made available for the user to see.
Roughly how many phone extractions have you done?
Since around 2013, well over 1,000 phones.
And how many times have you done analysis on phone extractions?
The analysis is part and parcel. So of those 1,000 phones or so which I've extracted, I've done analysis on all of those phones as well.
And then you've also done analysis on extractions, like in this case where someone else did the extraction and provided the information to you and you did the analysis?
Correct, yeah. Whenever I'm helping customers or users of our tools, they may provide me with the extracted data. So the data which I'm analyzing is more than the devices I've extracted.
And have you testified previously in courts about what you've done in terms of extracting and analyzing information?
Yes, I've testified in multiple courts around the world, approximately 28 times.
Now, you received a copy of the extraction for Lindsay Clancy's iPhone 13, correct?
Correct.
And when you received that extraction, did you also want to know all the specific information about the case and the investigation?
Typically, when I'm working a case, I don't want to know a lot of detail. I'd rather come to my own conclusions based on the data that I'm viewing rather than note the intricacies of the case. All I require is an outline, the date that something happened, the time, who was involved, basic information.
And in terms of the extraction that was done on Lindsay Clancy's iPhone, that extraction, what type of extraction was it?
That's what's called a full file system extraction. It's essentially all of the data which is being extracted from the device that is still live.
And did you use specific tools to conduct your analysis?
Yes, there's the Cellbrite physical analyzer tool created by Cellbrite and also my own tooling, applications I've been working on for several years.
So you've actually made your own tools that allow you to examine phone extractions?
Correct. There's some tools that I've been working on since prior to joining Cellbrite. Tools that as an examiner I decided that I needed to create for myself and make available to others. And I still use those tools to this day.
And these tools that you used, are those the tools that allow you to examine and categorize the information, the data that you find in the extraction?
Yes, the primary point of the tool is to go into the data, decode it, provide it in a way which is easy to filter and search, but also additional tools there that allow you to dig into the data and look at the raw information, the databases, the files, all of the raw information, which is what our tools initially decode.
And did you focus in on a particular time frame when looking at the data on the defendant's iPhone?
Primarily, I knew that the date of the incident was 24th of January 2023, so that was the main focus of my analysis. But some of the data I was aware could be from further afield than that, so I took a look of, I think it was around 3 weeks before that, so early January to late January.
Were you able to look at the health data on January 24th, 2023 that was in the defendant's phone extraction?
I was, yes.
And what is health data? And how does it show up on a phone?
The user of the phone would be able to access the health data via the health application, where the information is broken down to explain how many steps have been taken over a particular period of time, the approximate distance that was travelled, the number of stair flights that were climbed. That data is stored on the device itself in a database. So as a forensic examiner, I can take a look at that database in its raw form, and understand exactly where that information is coming from, and present it to the user of our forensic tools in a slightly more forensic-friendly method than the user of the application on the phone would see.
Showing you on the screen here, page 4 of your report. Looking here, we have a section here, heart rate data, is that correct?
Correct.
And you're able to see here, what can you tell about the heart rate data from the extraction?
So heart rate data comes from wearing an Apple Watch or a similar device, not from the phone itself. In the case of this phone, there was an Apple Watch paired to the device, and all of the heart rate data, which is recorded periodically throughout the day, is stored within the health database.
And what was the name associated with the Apple Watch?
So as it says in the third paragraph down, the Apple Watch itself was called Lindsay's Apple Watch.
And here in the report, you're able to show the recorded heart rates throughout the day. How is the heart rate recorded and sent to the phone?
There are sensors on the Apple Watch itself on the rear, which periodically check the heart rate at any given time, and that information is sent to the phone via Bluetooth.
And are you aware of how often an iWatch will record the data and report it to an iPhone?
The actual cadence at which the watch is checking would depend on what the user's doing. So if you were in the middle of a workout, it would be a lot more consistent than just periodically throughout the day. And I actually don't know how often it is throughout the day. If you're not doing any particular workout, there doesn't seem to be a set cadence. Every device I've looked at, it's slightly different.
I'm showing you page 5 of your report, this database of the heart rates. For example, in several locations, there'll be a heart rate report, maybe a few seconds in between them, and others there's 7 or 8 minutes in between the heart rate report. Is that what you're talking about, how it varies depending on what you're doing at that point in time?
Yes, this is typical from what you see when you look at the database. The timestamps are never consistently at a recognizable cadence.
And the highlights in green, what do those represent?
So I actually tried to just highlight some of the high points for the day. I realized a few days ago while reviewing this, there was records there that show a high of 123 and 122, which I had not highlighted.
And that's right there, right below, right
Correct.
around 1146.
Yes.
And what was the last time a heart rate was reported from the watch to the defendant's phone?
So the last heart rate recorded was at 17:23:52, so 23 minutes past 5 in the afternoon, with a heart rate of 57 beats per minute.
What was the average heart rate for the day for the defendant's phone?
There was a range of heart rates going between as low as I believe around 50 and as high as around 122. On average, it was around high 80s, early 90s.
And so at 5:23 p.m., the last recording of her heart rate was 57?
Correct.
And there aren't any further heart rates reported to the phone after that point, correct?
That's correct.
And what are some of the reasons why a watch would no longer be reporting a heart rate to the phone?
If the watch was taken off, if the watch was turned off.
If the battery died?
The battery was dead, yes.
Okay. You also mentioned flight climb data. What is that?
Flight climb is information which the Apple Health application stores every time it detects that you walk up a flight of stairs. So a flight of stairs would be considered either a 3-meter or 10-foot incline at over 16 steps. So the device has detected that both the altitude has changed by 10 feet and there were steps being walked at the same time.
So there's two factors being considered there: the steps that your watch monitors as you walk, and then the altitude. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And what is it? Is it GPS or something that's keeping track of your altitude?
The altitude is being monitored by a barometer or an altimeter, which is inside the device, just measuring for differences in air pressure.
And this information, the flight climb data, can that be monitored by both a watch and your phone if you have it on you?
It is. Both devices have got the barometers built in. Both devices can monitor flight climb events.
Can anything simulate or kind of fake out the watch or the phone into thinking that a flight of stairs is being climbed when it's not?
There are some circumstances where that can happen. They're typically quite rare, but it can happen.
Is an example of that being in a car and going up a hill?
Correct, yes. If there is movement which the device can mistake for steps at the same time as the incline is being driven, then that could accidentally record a flight climb.
But if a person's not in a car and is in their home, then it would be flights climbed, not hills being driven, correct?
Correct. If the person is in a house and there are flight climbs being recorded, then the only rational explanation is that the person was climbing stairs.
How is the data in terms of flight climb data, how is that data displayed? Or in the health data itself?
Within the application or within the forensic tool?
Within the forensic tool.
Okay. So within the forensic tool, we break down, or within Physical Analyzer, we break down the health data into hour segments. So for an hour, we may say that there are 3 flight climbs. And then it's up to the user to dig in a little further. They can select that 1 hour and then see how that activity breaks down over the hour. So you would see that there were 2 flight climbs that occurred at 10 minutes after the hour, and then another flight climb occurred later on.
So showing you page 6 of your report here. The top box here, is that showing the general hour data where 3 flights have been climbed?
Correct. So in this case, the user is looking at a time period between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. And the health data that's been pulled from the database has been aggregated. And it tells you that there's 98 samples being considered. The maximum heart rate during that hour-long period was 108. The distance traveled was approximately 759 meters. And there were 5 flights climbed within that hour.
And then below that, you break that down a little further, correct?
Correct. So this is further down the screen in the interface, where we can see an actual time of 10:17:27, where there's 2 flights climbed. And again, another record at 10:17:28, where there were 2 flights climbed, and then a further flight climb at 10:49.
And then going down to the bottom here, this table, what are we seeing here in this table?
So you may have realized in the slide above where there was 2 flight climbs at 17 seconds past and 2 flight climbs at 18 seconds past. That's an unrealistic measurement. It's because one of those measurements comes from the phone and one comes from the watch. This table breaks it down to say which of these records came from the watch and which came from the phone, because there are some which overlap.
So what you're saying is the prior table, it showed the 4 flights of stairs being climbed at the same time within seconds, which isn't rational. But this breaks it down to show some of that data is coming from the watch and some of it's coming from the phone, correct?
Correct. So if we look at records 4 and 5 here, for example, we can see a start time of 10:17:27 and an end time of 10:27:06, where the watch recorded 2 flight climbs, and then 1 second later a start time and 2 seconds later for the end time, we see the watch also detected 2 flight climbs. This is just the same 2 flight climb events that happened, but both devices recorded those flight climbs with slightly different timestamps.
And that will happen if I'm wearing my watch and I have my phone in my pocket and I go up the stairs?
That's correct.
Did you do something to compare these times and make a table where where you ignored or disregarded the double entries?
I did. I tried to correlate and discard all of the duplicate information. So where there was an event of a flight climb that was recorded on the watch and the phone, rather than provide information that said there was 2 flight climbs, I would ignore one of them and limit it to just the ones which we could prove happened.
And that's displayed here in this chart at the bottom of page 7 of your report?
Correct.
Going to page 8 of your report, we have here at the top of page 8, does that show the last flight climbs recorded on either the defendant's phone or watch?
It does. It shows that there was additional flight climb events logged by the phone, which were not logged by the watch, at 17:03 and 17:33.
So these records indicate that at 5:03 p.m., the defendant's iPhone was with the person as it went up the stairs, and then at 5:33 p.m., the iPhone was with the person as it went up the 2 flights of stairs.
Correct.
And there's a time difference there. The start time is 5:33 p.m. and the end time is 5:38 p.m. For 2 flights of stairs. So that's roughly 5 minutes in between the 2 flights. Is there a way to explain that length of time?
The way the Apple Health data records this information, aggregates it, it tries to group events together. So in this case, it would have recognized that there was a flight climb on the phone at around 17:33:34 and a second one at around 17:38:33, and it just grouped them both into one event. It doesn't mean that it took 5 minutes to walk up 2 flights of stairs. It's just within that 5-minute period, there were 2 flight climbs.
So if I have my phone in my pocket and I climb up a flight of stairs and then I spend a few minutes on that floor and then still with my phone in my pocket go up another flight of stairs, that's representative of what we're seeing here at 5:33?
Correct. There tends to be around a 10-minute window where it tries to check every 10 minutes, but it can reduce that window in a case like this where it sees that there's group data within a smaller time period.
And then further down on page 8, we have another table here, which seems to have combined data of heart rate and flight climb data. Is that correct?
Correct.
Did you also look at web usage on the extraction of the defendant's phone?
I did, yes.
And what did you do to look at the web usage on the phone, and what time frame did you look at?
For web usage, I expanded the time of interest to early January to the 24th of January, and just took a look at any web history over that time. There was over 1,300 records recovered. I took a cursory look down that list and highlighted some which potentially were relevant to the case, and then provided the 1,300 actual records as a appendix report.
And Going to page 12 of your report. Looks like you started here on January 10th, 2023, is that correct?
That's correct.
And basically here you list various searches that occurred on each day between January 10th and January 24th from the extraction, is that correct?
That's correct. Broken down by day with the time of the search, the website that was visited, the title of the web page, and then the identifier in the database.
And looking at these searches, on January 12th, 2023, at 19:48, so that would be 7:48 p.m., is that correct?
Correct.
There was a